In this video, I really want to talk about the colors of our lures. Over this past weekend, I did a fishing expo. I did 3 seminars over 3 days, and in every single seminar, somebody, at least one person, asked me about colors. What are my go-to colors when it comes to certain lures? And in this video, I really want to talk about kind of my reply to that, but just talk to all of you. So in this video, we're going to talk specifically about colors, why I think that there's a few that you should focus on, and how you should pretty much just throw away the rest. Now, before we get into it, this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Finn Fishing. And because so many of you live so far away and we're not able to make it to the show, I did a lot of like different show sales at the fishing expo, and I wanted to bring that over to the website. So right now on the website for the next 2 days, I'm going to be running some sales on pretty much everything that I have, including the hats, the sun shirts, my new duck shorts, even the rod gloves. And they are some of the best deals that you will get for single products over the course of the entire year. So I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. If you'd like to help support the channel, shopping at Finn Fishing is truly the best way to do so, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's talk a little bit about colors. And like I said, I really want to focus here on kind of like the response that I had to everyone who asked me about colors. Now, when it comes to colors and the different colors out there, I really believe that there are certain shades of colors where you can kind of, put a bunch of different colors into the same shade and kind of lump them in together. I really believe more in the shades that we fish as opposed to like really specific colors. Now, there is a way of fine-tuning a color when you get out there on the body of water, and we're going to talk about that at the end here. But when it comes to colors, I really like to keep things simple. I remember growing up as a kid, there was this one older fisherman that I greatly respected. I still do, but I remember him talking about a jig, and he talked a lot about how you needed to have like 5 strands of like baby blue color in it to get bit. And I remember him going in, and for like a number of years, I really thought that you had to be very specific with your different color selections. And then I just got to realize over time, especially when I would fish, like Bassmaster Open events where I would fish with different co-anglers, in those specific events, you fish the same body of water so many days in a row that you feel like you start to fine-tune things, and then it completely goes out the door when somebody else gets in your boat and they're catching fish just as well on a color that you thought was not going to work. And so over the course of the years, I truly believe there's really only a few colors that I use. So I'm going to really go ahead and talk about those right now. Now, absolutely, one of the ones you need is green pumpkin. We all love green pumpkin. I think if you ask 10 anglers what their favorite color is, probably 9, maybe even 10 of them are gonna say green pumpkin. And I like green pumpkin in everything. I mean, I've used it in all of my soft plastics and jigs, but also in moving baits, like chatterbaits, spinner baits. I've used even some green pumpkin colored crankbaits a lot and had a lot of success. So green pumpkin, it's just, it's a color that looks like a lot of things. It can kind of look like a bluegill. It looks like a lot of crawfish. And there's a lot of lakes across the country where one of the primary focuses of food that the bass eat are crawfish. And I actually talked about this in the seminar over the weekend. If you guys don't know what kind of crawfish are on your local body of water, a simple little thing that you can do, take you a little minnow trap, those ones that you can get for like $5 at Walmart that have the 2 ends that open up. Put a bunch of hot dogs in them and lower it into the water, like on a rocky bank in the body of water that you are fishing. Let it sit there for a little while. I used to do this a lot as a kid to kind of figure out what the crawfish were, because you will have a ton of crawfish that come into that trap. You also have little minnows, little tiny bluegill that come into that trap too, but you will catch crawfish. And for example, the crawfish that are around me, I believe that they're called a rusty crawl. They're like almost a perfect green pumpkin color across the back and the sides. They're a little bit more white on the belly, and they just have some like orange tips on their legs, a little bit of orange tips on their flippers. And so if you don't know what kind of crawfish are in your lakes, you can look up a lot of different pictures, and you can also do what I do. Take a minnow trap, see what you can catch. So that's an easy way, but green pumpkin is definitely a color that I like to use. It's also my fallback color. Like if I do not know what bait to fish, I will put a green pumpkin on and I will just use it. The next color is what I call a dark color. Most of the time black. Like black, I kind of put black and blue, even June bug at times. Like some of June bug colors are really dark. There's a color that Z-Man makes that I've used a lot in a Ned rig called yoga pants. It's basically a shade of black. Like a dark colored bait, black, is also a very good color. And we talked about that just the other day. You know, if I'm fishing any type of dark conditions, whether it's really overcast clouds, maybe it's dark tannic water, maybe it's muddy water, maybe it's at night. If I'm fishing in dark conditions, I'm going to use a black bait. And again, that applies to all baits, whether it's a soft plastic Texas rig, a jig. I've used black and blue chatterbaits a lot. I've used black topwaters like horny toads, and even like, walking baits that are black. I love black. It's a great color. So we have green pumpkin, we have black. The next color you absolutely need to have is what I would consider to be like the main bait fish for your body of water. Now, across America, a couple of main bait fish you will find are threadfin shad and gizzard shad. And they are both pretty much the same color, which is like white. They are white in color. So typically the clearer water that you have, the little bit more natural and more translucent you want your white bait to look. And the muddier it is, the more opaque you can get, meaning that you can't see through it. Like if you have a little white jig and a white trailer, it's gonna work good in muddy water. If I'm fishing in really clear water, I might want it to just be a little bit more the same white, but maybe just a more natural white, if that makes sense. Maybe a little bit more translucent in the silicone skirt or in the body of that bait. And so white though is great in all those lakes. Now there are a few bodies of water, there are a few states out there that have really specific bait fish that the bass just hone in on. For example, if you fish in like South Carolina, North Carolina, even some places in Alabama, you have a blueback herring in some of those lakes. And most people that live around blueback lakes know that there's bluebacks in those lakes. And one of your best colors is chrome. It seems like every blueback lake I have been to, chrome is a color that you need to have. And for whatever reason, those fish are attracted to it. It flashes, it kind of reflects off the sun down into the water. And chrome can be a really good color in general, but if you fish on blueback lakes, it is a staple. You have got to have a chrome bait in your boat. Now, if you live down in Florida, you have a lot of some of the primary bait fish in Florida is a golden shiner. If you've ever been live bait fishing with guys in Florida, they all use golden shiners. So gold baits tend to be good down in Florida. There's also a couple of the other random places across America that have golden shiners in it. There's a lake near me here about 45 minutes away. That is Indian Lake, for those of you that know it, and it has golden shiners in it. So gold baits can work well in those areas. And then really, so those are kind of like a few specific things. They don't really apply, but green pumpkin, black and blue, white, they apply pretty much everywhere. The only other color that I think is extremely important to have is red. And we've talked a little bit about red in the past and why red can be so good, especially during that like pre-spawn time of the year. But I'm actually gonna link a video at the end of this video that really goes into detail as to when and where to throw red. It's a video I made over on BassFishingHQ. So just wait a minute to hear a little bit more of that. But the one thing I wanted to leave you guys with is how to fine tune your colors. And if you guys have been around this channel or you've been around BassFishingHQ, I kind of say the same thing all the time, is that you really can't fine tune exactly what color the bass want until you know that you are around bass. And so a lot of times when I am out there and I am fishing and I'm trying to locate fish, I'm gonna go with a bunch of my confidence colors and baits that I just talked about. And until I start getting consistently bit that is when I will start to maybe fine tune things a little bit. You know, that is when, like, if I know, hey, I'm in an area where there's a lot of bass and I'm getting bit a lot, that is when you can start to add a little bit of color, take a little bit of color away from baits, and you can kind of see how the bass respond. Maybe you start to get substantially more bites by doing something, or substantially less bites. Maybe you start to see that the bass are getting a bait deeper. You know, maybe adding orange tips to a jig, like a green pumpkin jig, to make it look even a little bit more natural. Maybe you do that and you start to see that those fish are getting that thing in the back of the throat every single time now. So until you know that you are around life, until you know that you are around fish, I do not suggest being in the bottom of your boat and swapping out colors a lot, because I believe that the best way to find fish is by efficiently covering water. Going out there, throwing those confidence baits, you know, making some common sense out of it. Like if I'm out there and I know the bass are eating shad, I'm gonna use a white bait. I'm gonna use that shad color bait we talked about. If I know that they're eating crawfish, I might go with the green pumpkin or the black and blue. So anyways, guys, that is really what I wanted to say when it comes to colors. If you guys want to know more about red specifically, I made a full video all about the color red that I'm going to leave linked right here. So if you guys enjoy this one, you will like that one. Don't forget to check out those sales at Fin Fishing, and I will see you guys tomorrow.